Hey guys, and welcome back to the GC for this week's video. So another one today. I am doing a Super Nintendo top 10. So these will be the top 10 games of my childhood and the ones I played. So there's probably going to be a few that won't make the list. Let me know down in the comments what would make your top 10. Let's hit the intro and show you my top 10. So, number 10 on the list. Now, I changed this list quite a few times, moving them back and forth. But number 10 ended up being Street Fighter 2 Turbo. One of the most fantastic fighters on the console, and grew into my love of the franchise down the line throughout the series, along with another fighter that may be on this list. Street Fighter released 3 different variations on the Super Nintendo, and Street Fighter Turbo was the one that I played the most. So that one was released in 1992, and it was developed and published by Capcom. Fantastic designers or developers, made numerous games throughout the years, and Street Fighter is one of those top quality games that they made on the Super Nintendo.
Round 1, fight! You win! Perfect!
So, number 9. Number 9 is Jurassic Park. Another great franchise down throughout the history of film and games. They made some fantastic Jurassic Park games. But this is the one that I remember the most. My brother and I spent hours playing this game, trying to collect all the eggs, and it was a really enjoyable game. A tough one, but was really fun. And we spent hours trying to complete it, and I don't think we ever did. I think we got down to about 2 or 3 eggs and could never find the last few. But for what the franchise became, it really was a fantastic start. Obviously, the Jurassic Park game was released also on the original Nintendo, which I do also have, but another fantastic game. And this one was released by Ocean Software in 1993, and then was later released in Japan in 1994. So next up, number 8 on the list, another fighter, another very good fighter, is Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 3 to be precise. The dog has just knocked over all the extra life and the star, resting her head on them. So yeah, Mortal Kombat 3 is my favourite fighter on the Super Nintendo. Another one that we played for hours, trying to complete or trying to do all the fatalities and things. I always find it really difficult to remember them and to do them at the end. You'll see in the footage there's a couple of fatalities in there with Kabul. But it was another one we really enjoyed playing. I actually preferred Mortal Kombat over Street Fighter, which is why Mortal Kombat sits at number 8. This one was released in 1995. This was published by Midway, and it was released for arcades originally, and then was ported to several consoles, including the Super Nintendo. My favourite character was Sub-Zero. He was the one I always used 90% of the time. And yeah, had some great little fights with my brother and my cousins playing on Mortal Kombat 3. So next up is number 7. This one would be higher on my list. However, I preferred playing this game on the Amiga with the use of the mouse. Obviously, you did have the mouse with the Super Nintendo as well, but I didn't have that until I bought Mario Paint a lot later. So I never played it using the mouse on the Super Nintendo, but again, another fantastic game. Lemmings 2, The Tribes. And I actually prefer Lemmings to I prefer it to the first one. Just the different levels to the games, the music again, always fantastic on Lemmings. They really carried that on. There's some brilliant songs in the first one, and then going on to the second one, having the different areas, circus, you had classic, you had space, and that's just to name a few. But there were some really fantastic designed levels in the Tribes, and it's another one I spent hours playing, particularly on the Amiga. But I did very much enjoy it on the Super Nintendo as well. A fantastic game. So moving on to number 6, another game I played a lot on the Amiga, and this was ported onto other consoles. I believe it's on the Sega and also on the Super Nintendo, and it's quite an expensive game now. It fetches to £80 to £100 on the Super Nintendo. I managed to get mine for 40, which was really good at the time. And that's the Chaos Engine. It's a run and gun game released by the Bitmap Brothers in 1993, and you play as one of 6 mercenaries and make your way through the levels, shooting the enemies to get to the end of the game. think there was 4 landscapes in total across the levels, and you finish with like a cyber robot kind of enemy at the end to defeat. Yeah, really, really, really good game, and it was a good one to play in co-op. So if you play in single player, you end up playing with the computer, and the computer just used to annoy the hell out of me, because when you would kill one of the baddies, the computer would run and get the coins after it. So it was always much more enjoyable playing it with my brother. Obviously, we used to fight to try and get the most coins, but it was a little bit more competitive rather than you make the shot and then the computer goes and steals your coins. But yeah, another really fun game. And then later they released Chaos Engine 2. Obviously not on the Super Nintendo, I don't believe. But I never actually played that one, so I will look forward to getting my hands on that on whichever console that may be. But yeah, number 6, the Chaos Engine.
Layers activated. Node activated. Node activated. Special power. First aid. Special activated. 5, 4, 3. Exit open. Layers activated. Special activated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So moving into top 5 territory, the next 2 might be a surprise on the list, and I'm sure others will have different top 5. I'm sure of that, and there'll be some glaring games that are missing off this list that I probably never played or don't have any interest for. But number 5 for me, this is one that I never owned on the Super Nintendo when we were younger, and this is one we used to play over my friend's house. And it's a relatively cheap game for the Super Nintendo, and I have since picked it up for myself, but really enjoyed playing it, and that's Super Tennis. Very basic game, but Was it good? Oh yes, definitely. So that one was developed by Toes, and that was um, released in 1991. The game itself has 3 different modes. You've got Championship mode. Uh, you've got the World Circuit, and you then have a doubles mode and a singles mode. I loved playing the World Circuit. Such good fun. There were some really tough CPUs, and you had a choice of about, I think it was about 10 ladies or men on each side, and they all had different attributes, and yeah, really, really fun game, and you play on all different courts. You had hard, you had clay, you had grass, and you play across the circuits, racking up your points to try and win the whole thing. Really good fun. And some of the matches did become incredibly tough. And you come up against some really hard people and some really easy people. When you're going through the circuits, they've got a lot more people in them, but you can't choose them all, which is a shame that you weren't able to choose everyone in the game. But I suppose that takes the mystery, or of knowing what these other people were like. But yeah, really good game, fun. Loved playing the doubles with my mates. And another one that we spent hours of time playing.
Play. Play.
So as I said, moving on to number 4. Again, this one will probably surprise quite a few people. Now, I do hear a lot about Donkey Kong Country, how most people prefer number 1 and number 2. Number 1, obviously, was the original. It's iconic. Number 2, brilliant game. And was an upgrade from number 1. However, my number 4, and it's probably the least liked of the Donkey Kong Country series, and mine is Donkey Kong Country Double Trouble, so Donkey Kong Country 3. And that probably will surprise a few people, because not many people liked it. So in Donkey Kong Country 3, you play with Dixie Kong and Kiddy Kong. And so obviously the first 2 that you play with Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. I really enjoyed this one. You have a map that you can do different things on the map. You get loads of different vehicles to drive around as you go through the stages, and then there's loads of like secret things that you find. You've got to collect loads of banana birds across the map, and you go into these little caves, and you've got to do the sequence that it shows you. It might go yellow, red, green, and then you've got to copy it. But when the later you get, the longer those sequences got, so they got more difficult, so you really had to follow along. And then each level had some bonus levels that you've got to find, and a DK coin that you had to get from each level, and that will allow you to complete the level fully. If you've got the DK coin, it would go yellow, a little yellow flag, and if you've got all the bonuses, the flag would be upright, and then it would be either pink or blue depending on who you finished it with. And yeah, it was a really, really fun game, and they had some really unusual bad guys or like bosses that you had to take on at the end of each one. And it's another one that I really, really enjoyed playing, and I preferred it over 1 and 2, and yeah, that might surprise a lot of people. But yeah, Donkey Kong Country 3, my number 4. So moving into the top 3, where would you be? And I'm pretty sure that most people will have 2 of these games of my top 3 within their top 5 at least. So my number 3 is Super Mario Kart, where Mario Kart all started. I loved Mario Kart, the original one, and I'd probably say it's my favourite Mario Kart of all of them. Probably followed closely by the N64 one. Another one that I absolutely loved, and it has some great levels, some real great designs for the circuits. I always tend to choose Koopa Troopa. He was my go-to racer, and if it wasn't him, it was Yoshi. They were my 2 favourites to pick. And then you work your way up through the Mushroom Cup, the Flower Cup, the Star Cup, and you do them in 50cc, 100cc, and then 150cc. And then that opened up, once you completed all of them, the 200cc. And I suppose the most iconic level design for the whole of Super Mario Kart, which is one that stuck through the series, like in every game, and that's Rainbow Road. Rainbow Road was so different to any of the other circuits, and the very first one was really interesting. There was no barriers, nothing. Very much like the Ghost House level. Obviously that had barriers that you'd scat out, you'd fall off. But Rainbow Road was the most trickiest one, that it didn't have any barriers at all. And if you missed a corner or undercut it a little bit, down you went, off the end of the road, and you had to be picked up by Lakitu. Such good fun. And it got to a point where you kind of got used to where the computer would drive, and there's one level, one of the Mario Kart or Mario Circuit levels, that you go over a boost jump, and every time I used to get a banana or a green shell, I would put it in exactly the same spot every time, right on the boost. And if you got it right, the computer would spin, and then their boost wouldn't work properly, and it would just bump them over the corner, so they would end up dropping further behind because they missed the whole lap, basically. And it was so much fun. Like, I got to the points where, say, for example, Bowser was second every time, and depending on who you picked, that would determine who was in the top 4. But obviously, if you knock them out of the top 4, particularly in the first race, they would then be 3rd or 4th or whatever, going forward. And then that Mario Circuit race was the one that I always tried to make sure that the top 3 wasn't the same. And I had so much fun doing that. And yeah, just I spent hours and hours of time playing Mario Kart. Another really great game, and what a series it's grown into be. Obviously the newest one now on this Switch 2, and it is one of those games that's stuck with Nintendo throughout every single console. And a lot of people like the Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube I like that one. It's good, but Super Mario Kart was probably my favourite one of all of them. It took some beating. It was really, really good, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So we're nearly there. We're into the top 2. And this is probably another one that won't be in many people's top 3. Maybe even not in their top 5. But it's one of my favourite games of all time. And the only reason it doesn't make number 1 is because there's one game on the Super Nintendo that I think most people will have as their number 1 game. And I preferred my number 2 pick on the Amiga. I find it a lot easier on the Amiga with the mouse. And it's a game I spent a lot of time playing on the Amiga. I bought it later when I got my games room for the Super Nintendo, but I absolutely love the game, absolutely love it. And that is the number 2 is Cannon Fodder. It's the one game that I would go back to over and over again, trying to get Jules and Jops to the very end was so difficult. And that was what I always tried to do every time I played the game, was try and get those 2, because they were my 2 favourites. I always racked their kills up the most and tried to get them to the end. So when it came to levels where they were tough or tricky, and I had more than 2, I would end up sending the other people out. So if they died, it didn't matter, because I still had Jules and Jops. And I'm sure a lot of people probably did the same. And there was some really, really tricky levels as it went through the game. As the levels went on, it became very, very difficult. And I think if you don't try and save everyone, then makes it a lot easier. But when you're trying not to die with these 2, it makes it incredibly hard, especially in some of the levels where you've got to move super sharp, because if you don't move your men, you get shot straight away. But yeah, I loved playing it. I love the music, the music made by for Cannon Fodder, the same guys that obviously created Sensible World Soccer, which again, another fantastic game. Honourable mention on that one. It's not on my list because it wasn't as good on the Super Nintendo. On the Amiga, it was amazing. But yeah, the Super Nintendo game Wasn't quite as good because it didn't have the real names and stuff. But two classic games. But two of my favourite games of all time. And yeah, I loved playing Cannon Fodder. It's one of my games I've got on my Amiga mural. And again, another one that hours of fun. And as the song says, war has never been so much fun. It hasn't. It's a great game, fantastic game. Probably one of the best war games, in my opinion, I've ever played. I love it, absolutely love it. And I'd go back to Cannon Fodder rather than modern games like Call of Duty and things like that. I'd so rather pick up Cannon Fodder. Don't know about you guys. I'm going to say a lot of people probably love Call of Duty. I could never get into it. But Cannon Fodder was the one for me. And that, maybe, I think it's a lot of it. Those style of games I absolutely loved. Cannon Fodder, Sensible World of Soccer. Command and Conquer. You know, all those sort of games that I really enjoyed. So yeah, that's my number 2 pick. Cannon Fodder. Absolutely loved it. So here we are, we have made it to the top spot. Now, as I said earlier, I think this will probably be 90% of people's top spot, or at least in the top 3 games of all time on the Super Nintendo. And it was a system seller, absolutely. and really added to the franchise of Mario. So you can probably guess what it's going to be. Obviously, Mario 3 being my favourite Super Mario of all time. This one comes in a close second, but it does go to the top of my Super Nintendo list, and that is Super Mario World. Unbelievable game. Absolutely unbelievable. So different to Super Mario 3 and what it became. When they were first building Super Mario World, on the early builds, they had the maps that were very similar to Mario 3, and a lot of things were too similar, so they had to rebuild the game. And what they came up with was unbelievable. So you're in Dinosaur World, or Dinosaur Land, and this is where you first see Yoshi, one of my favourite characters in the series of all time. And he became an iconic character throughout the Mario series. And obviously, if you've watched the Super Mario movie, the second one, recently, he was one of the main characters joining the Super Mario movie. There's so many good things I could say about this game. So many different characters, like bad guys, that they designed. Wiggler being one of my favourites, and how when you stomp on them, they go red when they get angry. Brilliant, absolutely fantastic game. So many different level designs, and you had your basic ones, you had your water ones, you had the castles, you had the ghost houses, you had ones that you had to fly, and lots of different things. And then there was the secret levels, and I think that's what made it so good, that you could go through a level and you weren't fully complete, because some levels had 2 different exits, and you had to get both exits, or 3 exits in some, to complete that level fully. So anything that had a yellow circle on the map, you knew it had 1 exit, and anything that had a red circle had more than 1 exit on the level. And to fully complete the game, you need to go through each level and get every single exit, which does make it tricky, and some of them were actually quite difficult to get to. The one place I think you can get quite early in Donut Plains, or World 2, that you can skip to Star World, and that's where you can pick up all the different colour Yoshis. And I always did it nice and early, so I could pick up the blue one, the flying Yoshi. He was cool. Loved blue Yoshi. He was my favourite. And once you've done all that, you've got the special land. And oh my god, some of the levels on that were so difficult. One in particular that you've got to get the power up balloon, and you blow up and float your way through the level. Man, that level was difficult. I must have tried that so many times to complete. Some fantastic levels. I think the one that I went back to every time on the Star World was where you pick up the blue Yoshi in the water level, and you can get him to eat the star, and he grows up straight away. So you can get your Yoshi and then exit. You can press start on it and select, and it will exit the level for you. So that's what I tended to do: get my blue Yoshi, come back out, and move on to the next level. And it was for me. It's the best game on Super Nintendo, and one of the greatest games of all time. I'm currently building. Obviously, don't know if you've seen. If you watch my games tour, you'll see lots of Lego characters scattered across the room. And the one I've actually run out of pieces for it, and it's been sat on my side for about a year and a half now, untouched, unfinished. But the Bowser's Castle that is in Super Mario World, I'm building that, and it's almost done. I'm just missing a few parts, a few bricks that I will eventually finish, and that's going to be a real showpiece in my games room once it's done. But the castle looked amazing, it looks so good. Fantastic game, absolutely brilliant. It's one that I play a lot, and I still play a lot now, on the Super Nintendo, or of course on the Switch. Yeah, I love it, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people love the game. I'll be very surprised for anyone who doesn't have this in their top 10, if not their top 5. That's for sure. Absolute classic game. So that's my top 10 Super Nintendo games. I'm sure there's some glaring omissions there. Obviously, Zelda games probably being one of them. I never played Zelda when I was younger, so I never got into it. And obviously Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2, as I preferred the third one. And a number of other games. Let me know down in the comments what would be your top 10. I look forward to reading your comments and seeing your top 10s. And do you agree with me on some of the games? Hit that like button if you've enjoyed the video today. Hit the subscribe and the bell icon for all future videos. And as always, don't forget to create your world of games.